after that session, quite a lot of the trainees did come up to me and then said, had it not been for this session, I was only emailing CYF to then say I was going to fall out, I'm going to step out, I'm going to not come back again, because it was just, I felt that I didn't belong. And quite a lot of the people that were saying this were females. They felt that they didn't belong, but that's also part of the stigma of the world. We need more females in tech. Imposter syndrome means you care about something and you're scared to get it wrong. But we have to understand that things we care about, everything is worth the risk. But how much of a risk are we willing to take? And how much of our mindset can we put forward for us to make something work?
My guest today is Andy Saffo, based in London, someone who has had a tremendous impact supporting people, particularly from a disadvantaged background and those from underserved communities, often facing extreme circumstances and challenges. Andy has been volunteering for a long time, quite a prolific volunteer, supporting various different organizations, including the Princess Trust, Cody Future, as a personal and professional development mentor. He has been a program lead at CYF as well, and is still supporting them, and currently volunteering as a legal advisor for rape and sexual abuse service in South Banks, London. In this episode, we're going to dive into Andy's volunteering journey and how it has impacted him both personally and professionally. So we became friends through work. Andy left and joined another company a short while ago, and then I got him back to reconnect on this podcast. So welcome to the podcast, Andy. It's great to have you on. How are you doing?
Thank you. What a great intro. Do love it. I'm doing well, doing really good today. Thank you for having me on.
Brilliant, and thank you so much for bearing with the technical issues for this episode. I forget my MacBook, and I have to do all sorts of other jiggery pokery to get things working. But we got there. Thank you so much.
That's
Um,
good. We're here
that's
now. That's
awesome.
good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
awesome. It's awesome to reconnect, and I really wanted to get you on the podcast really because there's been so through work we see seeing the impact that you're having has been fantastic, and the support that you've had you've been giving as well. It's very tangible. That impact has been recognized, and some of the feedback has been great. And following your journey, I've seen you grow in that role as well. So such an amazing advocate for showing that through volunteering you can develop, not just giving back to others, but also develop yourself.
Right.
So let's kick off with my first question is, what's your earliest memories of volunteering, supporting the community? How did you get started with volunteering?
Yeah, my earliest memories was when I was about 14, 15, maybe even younger. And I was with a charity called Bigger Fish. And the aim of that charity was to look at young children from the age of 14 to 21 and look at how they could build confidence, build that innovative spirit, and also that business mindset within them, and also bring creativity to the table. So quite a lot of their events were around talent shows, flash mobs of just putting a vision, but with the with that creative edge to it as well. And they had music events where they allowed so many different people from within the community to not only take part in the music events, but be a headline to a big artist as well. That was also from in and around London, or maybe even from the UK. So through that, you could earn an income by selling tickets, or you could be part of the planning team, or you could be part of the creative team. So then putting up all these different initiatives together. So it was a way to enhance and pretty much encourage children from a very young age to step out their comfort zone, and to be themselves a lot more.
Yeah, amazing. What do you feel with that initial volunteering? What kind of things do you think you got out of that experience?
So although I was part of the community as a volunteer, I was also within the community as one of the children. I was a child myself back then. So it helped me to not only because at that time my confidence was behind the camera. So what then happened was I had a DSLR, and without even having to do much of the communication side, I'll go off and use this camera to more of, okay, take a good shot, show to people, and eventually a conversation will start. And then from there, it helped me to really understand that foundation of communication, between not just between children alike, but also between adults. Because sometimes I will go to certain events where I will probably be the youngest in the room. So that allowed me to then understand, okay, with children, this is how you will or can communicate. With adults, this is how you can communicate. And with somebody that's outside, in terms of the community, there's also another way to communicate. So it's not just one shoe fits all kind of approach.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Okay, fantastic. And let's go even one step further back. What was tell me about where you grew up. What was the community like? And that's something I've been kind of really interested in, and don't really pick up on that when you're in the workplace, right? And you're working together.
Yeah.
How did you grow up? What's your family like, and all that.
Uh,
Let's. I'd love to hear a bit of your backstory, actually, Andy.
yeah. So my backstory is I've always been from a community based setting. So always being very connected with your neighbors. So I was born and raised in Africa, so Ghana, and from there, it's you know everybody that is around you. You play with everybody that is around you, and you're well connected. Either it's from the parents or the kids or the extended family. And in terms of even going one step inside the inner circle, is I'm very well connected with my family. That every time there's always that community spirit. So every time I used to join a new initiative or a new community, that's one thing that I cherish the most. Putting that community together, building that community together, going through the highs and lows together. Because as a community, you where you all understand what that goal is, you can all build together, and that goes a very long way. Doing things as a community rather than just in little silos, because we're all going
Yeah,
through it together. It's it's
yeah.
it's where I've come from. Um, yeah,
Oh, fantastic. That I guess that's your some of your roots of your volunteering work and giving back
yeah.
goes back to um, your community and how you all grew up. So when did you come to the UK? Did you
When
say you
I
were born?
was 12, it's when I was 12,
Oh,
yes. So I
okay.
started year seven in this country. I just about missed year
Right, right.
six. So I could have done a bit of year six, but there wasn't
Yeah,
enough for me to have done that. So yeah, started year seven in this country. And since then, I've been looking at, even starting in this country, I had to then go through. So there's a certain word it's somebody told me. It's but uh, essentially it's not really a culture shock, but it's a culture adjustment. So I went through that for a period of time, and towards the end of high school, that's when I started to then really understand what was around me and what I
yeah,
can and can't do. Um, so then started to
yeah,
encourage. I remember I used to then go around to music events. Even before I joined Bigger Fish, I'll go around to music events at a young age, and from there, I knew that, okay, you know what, I want a camera. So I just kept pushing my parents to get a camera. Um, because I liked that creative. Although I wasn't a creative person, I had a I can put things together.
Yeah.
So in doing so, I always nagged my parents. They were like, "Oh my gosh, this is super expensive." I'm like, "I really want it. This is how much I've saved. This is how much I can put together." And I always had a plan. I'm like, "I put this much together. Um, you might probably give me money for either my birthday or my Christmas later on in the year.
Yeah.
Forget giving
Yeah.
that to me. Put that together. You give him this much. You give him that much." And it's like I always gave the reason to problem solved already. So you don't have to worry
Yeah.
about X, Y, and Z. Just I said, look, if you can please just put in this much, I can put in that much, and this is how
Yeah.
much it will be. And look, I got a discount code, that kind of stuff. Let's all put it together and pay for the camera. So I did get the camera around one of my birthdays, or shortly after. It was, I think, a month after. And then from there, then was working with, or knew somebody that noticed my camera, because I would literally just walk around with the camera, and somebody had approached me and then said, "Oh, okay, what do you do with that camera?" And then I was like, "I like to take pictures." Just out the box kind of responses. I like to take pictures, but then I told him about my story as to how I got the camera, and he goes, "Oh my gosh, that's really good." And that's when he
Yeah.
first started to connect to me. So my my first proper gig was actually with Lacoste. Actually, they did
Oh wow.
pop-up
A
shop.
proper gig.
Yeah,
As a
yeah.
company. Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
so they did a pop-up shop, and through this, my contacts, I was there at
Yeah.
the pop-up shop. The reason why I didn't send you the pictures is because I looks very small now. I don't even look the same, but I'm like, no, I cannot show these pictures to the world. Um, and then from there, that's when I got to know he was very well connected with Bigger Fish, and then that's when
Yeah.
that link with Bigger Fish also started, and it started to grow legs. And then yeah, from there,
Yeah.
that was the start of my journey.
Ah, fantastic.
Yeah,
It must. I guess it must have been quite tough coming here age 12, and I
yeah,
don't know what your English levels were. That must have been an
yeah,
adjustment, even if your English was great.
yeah,
There's a million other things to kind of get used to. I was born
yeah.
in the UK, and even even being born here, there's cultural differences because
Yes,
your household is different, and we lived. Well, most of my life I lived in a quite close knit community where there was loads of other Bangladeshi people there. It's still
yeah,
there. I mean, when we moved, well, I didn't move. I was born here. When my parents moved, there's only like 5 households that were Bangladeshi. Now it's like most of the street. I think there's only
yeah,
a couple that are not like that. So it's
yeah,
I can understand some of that, cultural differences
yeah,
and there's similarities in that. Um, Fantastic. So yeah, so I can understand your community roots.
yeah.
Some of that started around there. Tell me about your volunteering with Code Future. I think that's been a quite significant part of
Part of my
your
volunteering. Yeah,
volunteering and your development. Tell me about and leading off from. I know you told me a story about you're behind the camera first, and then
yeah,
but you wanted to do some more and get yourself out there. Tell me about your Code Future journey.
yes. So I'll start with the camera side of things, and then work
Cool.
my way into Coded Future. So we're over time started to then it wasn't just take pictures, show to people. It's take pictures, have that conversation, or have that conversation, take pictures, um, show to people, send it to the organization that the event was around. And as time went on, I started to then put I met with one of my friends that also knew him from high school. He also had a camera. Well, he also had the same vision. So he then also got a camera, and I would do the pictures, he would do the videos, and it started to really grow into. And then before you know it, there's a promoter in the team. There's a few promoters actually. Then a DJ in the team. So it became a whole production
Yeah.
little team was that that then grew out of just one step at a time. So I'll edit the pictures, he would edit the videos, and then from there we were just going from one event to another event to another event, but they were mostly around music. I'm very connected with music in so many different ways. So it was, and it some of the gigs were really they're decent size. I've done some work with SBTV as well, where I went to one of
Oh,
their
amazing.
so I
Yeah.
went to one of the Christmas parties. It was a secret Christmas party, so for me to also
Mm.
be there, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
And then I
It's
had some
started by
pictures. Yeah,
started by Jamal Edwards, right? SBTV.
yeah,
Late
yes,
Jamal
yeah,
Edwards.
gotcha, yeah, yeah. Um,
Hundred-
and I've met so many different artists as well. And back then, it wasn't people are like, oh my gosh, it's this person. And I'm like, great. It's about what creative thing I can do with this person, or these group of people. And I started to meet so many people that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a fan. But you have to keep your cool at, at all
All
times.
right.
And then I joined a production company, so which was based in Battersea. So once again, just focusing more on going to so many different events. So their events were more so not just music, but it's also covering the culture side. So it will be talent shows. It will then be fashion shows. It will then be what else? It will just be an expo of some kind, and that was really good because I saw myself transitioning through, and it was certain points where the person that I was reporting to, or my boss at the time, was go to this event by yourself and get this done, kind of thing. So that's how one from being behind the camera, not really saying much, to being still behind the camera, but also being the one to then say, okay, this is how the day's going to go, kind of thing. So it helped me to grow, but I still was a long way from my confidence level. Then I went to sixth form, and I met an English student where up until today we're still. This is our second script, so I started to do script writing. So not just be behind the camera, but be around that production
Mm.
element as well. So once again, from a community standpoint, so be able to get actors from within and around the community. So actors, filmmakers, directors, producers, everything. Put them videographers, editors, put them in the same room with the same agenda. And pretty much, and I got quite a lot of traction in terms of the filmmakers out there. So there was someone that really supported me back then, Daniel Bailey, which was really good in terms of. I remember he gave us one of his big spaces to just do auditions.
Okay.
Although it was a start, we realized that yeah, this is a good start, but we need a lot more than just a few people. And shortly after, I was also going to university, and I tried to get things pretty much done before I went to university.
Yeah.
But even
Oh
then,
wow.
there was also this group called. They used to run the skit show Mandem on the Wall, and they too came to one of the auditions, which was really good. Um, and just so many different actors that are so big in the game right now. Where at some we were speaking to them at the time. Um, so I went to university, then I came back, then started my second script with the same person, and then from there I've just been going through employment. But I'll do the odd volunteering here and there because I once again needed to find my community once again. So I tried to do that, but the camera wasn't my focus this time. It's me as a person was then my next focus, especially doing tech, doing computer science in university. I tried to find that as my footing, but I just didn't know how to go about it until I joined the company we met, Capgemini, and then from there, that's when I really got introduced to Code of Future. A few others as well, so Princess Trust, Code of Future, Brightside, and a few others that I was volunteering with. But Code of Future was one of the really big ones because it. I started off just doing, for example, the Homework Club, which went a long way, and I started to be an assessor, so to do mock interviews, to do actual interviews, to do graduate interviews, and then from there, I remember I came up to you after my a few months. It was in the new year, and I said, "Monju, I want something big." You were like, I think you're ready for this one. I think you'll be the right person for this one, which was to be a leader of a cohort with Code of Future. That's when my journey for the next steps really started, and it exploded in ways that I would not have seen coming, in a good way, obviously. And from there, I was pretty much putting a cohort together. The focus was to get a lot more women on the course, and we ended up just giving it so much push that we ended up with over 120 students in the end, and had to split the class for more of an effective learning. But as a leader, it's taught me quite a lot, because all my mentees so I was a professional and personal development leader, as well as a community coordination leader as well. So I didn't actually I didn't actually go down and put myself forward for the community coordination leader, because I was going in from a PD point of view. But Code the Future had realized, and I remember the program manager at the time had then said, "No, we love your energy. We love how you know how to put communities together." And me being me, I didn't actually realize I was doing it. It was just a second nature kind of element. So I was really encouraged to do it. And at first, I just thought that's a lot. Like, for me to be like a hybrid leader, you tend to just be one or the other. So then I became a hybrid leader, and that's when, in terms of putting communities together, I was in charge of that, as well as other leaders that then joined from a community point of view, and also so many different volunteers. And I used to have so many different sessions for the trainees at the time. So every time we come in every morning, we will do more like a energizer, and it gets to a certain point where I saw the trainees from the start, and I saw their journey, and I knew as a community we all have to support one another. So even if it comes to a competition is the best competition is collaboration. Is what I then saw. So I started to really build their confidence to collaborate with one another. You go further than just to compete and push people down or pull people down, let's say. Um, it goes a long way building a team rather than crushing one. Um, and through that, I used to lead their PD sessions, um, and yeah, it was one of the best things ever. Because it wasn't even times where I'm like on a Saturday, I'm like, I'm tired, I've had a really long day. It's more about, it's not for me, it's for the entire community. So that was also something that had pulled me through, and yeah, delivered 18 months later, and I'm still working with them. But it's only now that everything is now coming to an end because the cohort is about to finish. But it's been a very tremendous journey with them. It's been amazing.
Oh, fantastic. And when I when that role first came across, and asked to promote it, I thought I'm not really going to find who am I going to find to fill this role, because it's a heck of a lot of work.
Yeah,
You were, I think it was advertised like 7 hours a week or something like that, but you were probably doing more than that. So
yeah,
you're really packing in the hours and the level of complexity of the role.
yeah.
It's not a easy role. How would you compare it? You know, there's one-off things, mock interviewing and things like that, which is, is great. How would you differentiate this role that you did and the skills that you picked up from doing it?
So this role was more so you. It's not about myself or my ideas. It's about what needs to be under, well, what I need to put on the table. Um, so you have to be a real model. You have to be resilient. You have to be very risk adverse. You have to be ready to deal with so many different cultures. So we had so many different cultures, so many different backgrounds, and so many different people that have gone through life through different lenses. You have to, especially being a PD mentor. So I'm speaking about a PD mentor first, and I speak about my community coordination side of things afterwards. So being a PD mentor, it you're not just guiding people through, you're helping people to understand why X, Y, and Z is said to be this way, and giving them the platform to be not only be themselves, but to also come up with their own way of doing things. So we will then go through ways of just dealing, for example, this random thought, ways of just dealing with presentations or public speaking. It's not just about putting people at the front and then say speak, but you're then working with them to then understand what are the barriers, what are some of the things that we can work on, and each person is different, so you have to work with them at their level. So it's more so wherever they're at, you need to meet them. So if, for example, we need to do a 5 mile run and they can only do a mile, be prepared to go that extra 4 miles for them, because at the end of the day, some of them could do the 5 and do an extra 5. So in that case, not only did I support them, I also got them to support one another, because I'm only one person, but all of you, and together we're all a community. So if, for example, somebody can do 10 miles, how then can you support somebody else to do their 5, and they too can support you to do your 5? Because today I can do my 5, but tomorrow I can only do one. And also from that professional development and personal development, looking at the best way to do it as a leader is, yes, I understand that this is your situation. You have to take each case on its merit, take each case step by step, understand it, take yourself out the situation as to what you think is best, and actually research to give the person what it is the best thing to do. So it's not, once again, it's not about your ways of doing things, it's about the ways of doing things. And I realized that as if I was to be a good leader, I needed to do things the way it needed to be done, and not only allow people to grow, but also also guide them, support them, understand what is required. Because sometimes there's four different types. So it's either some people just learn by just hearing it. Some people learn by you doing it, so being a role model. Some people learn by a little bit of hand holding, and some people will learn by uh, take them as far. So this I call the Nanny McPhee approach. So I'm here as long as you. How does it go again? I'm here as long as you need me, but when you want me is when I leave. Because if you need me to take you through the process, I would be there. But as long as I see that you can go off your 2 feet, that's
Yeah,
when you can you need to now apply what you've learned or what we've both gone through and what I've taught you as
yeah,
well. And a lot of my mentees were all older than me as well, so I needed to not only guide them through, but also understand that there's that, especially from a cultural background, an adult is always on a certain pedestal that you must respect at all times.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that too had something to do with it as well.
Oh, amazing. There's so many things you're juggling in that role. Just even that little aspect of it. I know
Yeah,
there's other things that you're doing, more organizational and planning.
yeah,
But what a great way to develop your leadership skills, right? And you're quite early on in your career, I would say. You're
yeah,
not you're not going in at director VP level yet.
yeah,
That's on
yeah,
the way.
yeah,
So it's such a great way for you to develop in I would say, like a safe environment, isn't it? There's like nothing really on the line,
yeah,
in work, you got sometimes you hesitate a bit, and if you mess up at work, there's gonna be maybe your manager, has a word or here and there. There's a different pressure, isn't it?
yeah,
And I think volunteering, and you're a testament to that. I think volunteering is such a great way to develop all sorts of skills and your confidence as well. I think has leadership, developing your leadership skills and your communication skills, have they been your, your key things that you've taken away from Code of Future or other charities?
yeah. So I've Code of Future is where it pretty much, I guess, my situation. Nanny McFeed me, because it was just looking at all the stuff that I had gone through and then said, yeah, now you're all on your own now. You go off and you do it. You apply what you've learned over the years. And it got to a certain point where, yes, quite naturally, I am a introvert, but you couldn't ever tell that in the room. People were pretty shocked by the fact that I mentioned that I was an introvert, because every time I stepped into something that I liked to do and something that I enjoyed the most, it it's that switch of keep going, keep going, keep going. And I was there most Saturdays from start to end. And public speaking, you would never see me speaking in front of someone any time before that. So I can sense for myself, I come a long way in terms of confidence. But also, especially being a leader, it had to be another form of a mindset shift, because I more so looked at, I'm even up until to this day, I'm trying to improve my comprehension and communication skills. So listen more, pay attention, understand what is going on, and then take the lead, or do something. And through that, it's more so you learn a lot by just paying attention. It goes a very long way. So as a leader, you really have to pay attention. You really have to understand first, and then you put yourself in somebody else's shoe. As a leader, you need to be a really good role model. You can't be seen doing something wrong today, and you're going to say, "Oh, you didn't see it," kind of thing. You need to cross your T's and dot your I's. I'm not saying that there wasn't any time where I would have gone wrong, but I would have to have had accountability for all my actions and really explain to the class, or to explain to
Yeah.
everybody, guys and girls, you know, this didn't go right. This is how it was. This is how I'm holding myself accountable. And this is what I'm going to do to mitigate. Well, this is how I'm going to solve the problem. And this is what I'm going to do to mitigate it moving forward. So it wasn't just about checking others, it was about checking myself. And it's about also building a very open and honest conversation, or open and honest forum, or instance for all the trainees to give themselves feedback. So what we used to do was, we used to do something called sweet and sour. So we'll always do good feedback and bad feedback, and it was mandatory to give what you think that bad feedback is. It's
Mm.
mandatory to give a good feedback.
That's important
Um,
for growth,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Of course, it can't
yeah.
always just be positive, positive, positive. Then
Exactly,
how are you
exactly.
going to change?
Yeah, exactly. And this was one thing that, from my cultural stance, it was all about. Um, well, from being a child, is children are seen and not heard. And I realized that feedback as a whole was it. Not that you can't give feedback, but it's the nature of giving feedback. Until it's something is very extreme, we probably won't say anything about it. And for us to really understand, what we require and the kind of support we need to be able to speak up, because I was more so looking out for them in terms of joining an organization where something does where you require something, you need to say it from the start, because some of them would then say, um no, get things done and figure it out later. But for example, if you need to do a school run, you need to
Yeah,
say it at the start. You can't say, hire me and then I'll figure it out later, because what if you can't figure it out? Then what are you going to do? So these kind of little things that goes a very long way. And
yeah,
yeah,
and really, that's not a little thing, right? For them,
no,
picking up
no,
your kids is not a little thing.
it,
That's a big,
it's not.
that's a
It's not. Yeah,
non-negotiable type of thing.
yeah,
That adds
yeah,
up.
yeah. Exactly.
Fantastic. And how has it benefited you in the workplace? So, taking away these skills and this confidence and your communication skills, how's it? I probably know the answer to this, but how to obviously hear it from you? How has it
Yeah,
impacted your work?
yeah. I'll start off with the communication piece. So in previous employments, I've been the one to then, if I was to notice a problem, I'm like, for me to raise it, for it to go around the block, and maybe fall on deaf ears, maybe not, then debate about it, and then it gets fixed. But then the fix, you would have spent time planning it, you would spend more time planning it than actually fixing it. So I would then go off and do it myself, kind of approach. I fixed it. As some people would then say, is best to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. Although I don't stand by that now, it just do things properly. So I'll go off and fix it and be like, look at what I fixed, and I'll make it hard for you to even get angry at me because I fixed it, kind of thing. So I went from that
I love that.
to yeah, I went from that to pretty much, you know what, communicate. But it's not just about communicating; it's about letting the person understand. So I've now taken creativity in a different light. So letting somebody understand your story as to why you believe there's a problem. So if I was to come up with a problem, I'm not coming up with a problem anymore. I'm coming up with a problem in a scenario or story base, and then I'm going to come up with a solution, and then I'm going to come up with what could be done. So literally, I'll do everything in one. So it's not
Yeah.
just, oh, okay, um, we can take it, we can discuss it, we can. I've taken it, I've done the analysis, I've done the discovery, but this is something I learned through tech anyway. Every time there's a new project, you will discover, you will plan and design, and then you will execute, and then you will support. So taking that back into my approach to deal with certain things has helped me quite a lot. These transferable skills has really gone a very long way. So that is how I dealt with that communication piece. Just let somebody understand your story. Let somebody understand what is your thought process and what your logic is. And then from there, it's also standing up to certain things that you will mark as value. So being somebody that I then said, so my thought process quite naturally is I go by the three P's. Well, but I go by other things as well. But the three P's are very paramount in terms of mindset. So it doesn't go in this order, but productivity, purpose. Um, sorry, it's productivity, purpose, and this word has skipped my mind. I know how to explain it, but
It's okay.
essentially,
Start
positivity. Sorry,
explaining,
no,
and
no,
then it's gonna. Oh, it's
positivity.
come to you.
Of course, yeah. How can I
Cool.
know? It's those ones where always have the positive mindset to tackle something. You will get bad news, you will get good news. Whatever news you get, you need to be able to understand how to maneuver around. And if you don't have a stern, not like a stern mindset, but if you don't have a strong mindset, you won't be able to really see and analyze things properly. So first P is the positivity. Be positive in anything you hear. I'd say that if life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. You make the best lemonade that is out there. Seven Up tried seven different times until they became. It was one up, two up, three up, four up, seven.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh, I learned something new. I'm gonna have to tell my
yeah,
wife that when I'm driving home tonight.
and they had tried and failed and tried and failed. Had they not been positive, they wouldn't have ended up with Seven Up, which is now leading in
Yeah,
so many different lemonades. So where life give you lemons, make lemonade. Literally, that's what they
it's
did.
about being resilient.
Resilient, exactly. And there are risks. Be risk averse, um, quite easily. And from there, what is the purpose in what I'm now going to do? What comes out of it? What is the goodness in what I'm going to do? What's the impact? And then now that I've figured out the purpose, how productive can I be in delivering? So that is also something that's helped me along the way with everything. But in terms of being a leader, it helped me to then say, before I get to a class, I need to cover my three P's. I need to be able to put up a message and relay that to everybody. I need to put, because there was also one of the trainees that she can't speak or hear. She can only, so to make sure that we're covering and being very inclusive, you have to make, as a leader, you cannot get these things wrong. You have to make sure that even if you have to put a piece of paper and tick off, you have to do that to then say, okay, how do I best be inclusive? Okay, this is it. How do I make sure that I'm covering all grounds? How do I make sure that I'm getting my message across? And I always would take the 5 W's: who, what, why, where, and how. Um, when as well. I guess the sixth W, but it's covering that to then say, in anything that I have to do, use that to break down and tell the story. Why is it important? What is it? Why is it important? Who benefits from it? How will they benefit from it? Where would it be? And I think how. Yeah, I think I've already covered how. And when. When would it be? So when is it to be delivered? And we've mentioned other adjectives of. But it's it's also being tenacious in your ways as well, to then say, you know what, sometimes things won't happen the way it needs to happen, and such is life. You have to then be on the ball in terms of your thinking. So that analytical thinking and problem solving, everything has a nature of problem solving. So if something doesn't happen today, sometimes we'll get in and there's tech issues. Okay, that's fine. Let's jump onto the phone. Let's jump into my personal laptop. Let's split into different groups. How many headsets can we get? Let's split that across. Oh, sometimes the noise is traveling, so how can we split ourselves in different parts of the room or the venue, just so that the
Mm.
noise doesn't travel? So, and it's just really being thinking outside the box on the spot. And as a leader, these are the things that
Yeah.
really helped me along the way.
Getting the job done with the resource that
Exactly, with
they have.
however
That's
small or
leadership.
big. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So you said that was positivity, productivity, purpose, and then there was another. I'll can't remember all five of them, but on
And then the
the
5 W's.
recording I could hear it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
could
then
hear
the
that
five
again.
W's. Yeah.
That's really interesting. And it's interesting to see that that's quite embedded in your
Yeah.
approach,
Yeah.
and you've been able to practice that in the volunteering environment.
Yeah.
And I would you agree that it's such a applying these skills and being able to practice in public in this environment, it's such an easy way to get involved, right? If you wanted
Yeah.
to do this as part of formal training, firstly, how much would it cost? It cost quite a bit, and then
Yeah.
getting onto
Yeah.
that is another different whole kettle
Your
of fish. Is that the
availability. Yeah.
phrase?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge advocate of that. Skills development through volunteering, let alone all the other benefits that you can have around improving your confidence and your mental health.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you say to people that kind of hesitate? That maybe they're in the mindset. I'm not saying everyone. Maybe there's a small portion that may think, "Oh, I'm not getting paid for this. Why am I putting so much effort into this when I can just go work and earn some money?" What?
Yeah.
And I know you had a full-time job whilst you were doing all of this.
Yes.
Why
And
do you do it?
it's the joy it brings me. And it's all the skills it's brought me along the way, and it's all that community spirit. And to me, I always say, if you're going to do something, make sure you put a fun spin on it, make it unique, make it yours, but make it worthwhile. Because why are we really volunteering? To make an impact. It's what really matters to you. How have you been supported, and how can you give back? And through this, I then say that, because I was also at university part time as well, so there was a lot on my plate. But what was important to me was that volunteering edge, because I remember so many people telling me that if you don't have enough time, why do you volunteer? And I'm like, because it's important to me. So sometimes I was stuck in a bubble where I had to help people understand my situation, to then say, because to them it's like, then stop volunteering. I'm like, it's not something I can just stop. Don't. It's become kind of part of me and what I do. Um, so volunteering is then understanding what would you want to do. So everybody has that key skill that they're so proud of. Everybody's got that key thing that they cherish the most. I'm very sure you like to let people understand your story. And then you can then say, I'll start off with blogs, I'll start off with videos, I'll start off with content creation. But with that, there's also organizations out there that need this from a volunteering point of view. So it's about not thinking about the tunnel vision of volunteering, but it's thinking about the wider view of what you can get back from volunteering. Because had it not been for volunteering, I don't know where I would have been in terms of some of my honed and heightened skills. I might still be a very heavy introvert in my ways, where that doesn't help. That wouldn't have helped my growth in terms of my professional work. Would not have helped me to stand in front of so many different people, so many different groups of people, to do demos, to do training, and to pretty much sell a new project. So it goes a long way. Volunteering shouldn't just be, oh, I volunteer and I get nothing from it. It's you've already paid yourself. You've paid yourself back by volunteering because you've done and you've been a positive impact to somebody else. And if that is a reward in itself, that is a
Yeah,
reward in itself. Is how I see it. Yeah.
absolutely. You definitely get back what you're giving,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and it can get addictive.
Yeah.
Seeing that difference, the difference that you're making, right?
Yeah.
And I can totally resonate with what you're saying. The skills that I pick up and then I've taken it into work. And then what I found is I further develop those skills at work, and then I take them back out into volunteering, and it's
Yeah.
like a circle. And I don't think
Yeah.
I wouldn't be where I am today in my role, certainly without a lot of that volunteering things that I did.
Mhm.
Is there one story that really stands out for you in terms of impact and difference it's made to the person that you've helped?
Yes. So there was. Oh, there's a few. Which one? um, I remember.
What's your favorite?
What's your favorite? What's my favorite? So quite a lot of the trainees have had mentioned. I want to say with one person actually. I find it hard because there were so many as a PD mentor and leader. There were so many people that I was working with, and they all have similar stories. But it was the one that I'll pick out from is Code of Future was split in three different stages. So you have your introduction to digital, you have fundamentals, and then you have the software development course. And when that starts, it goes on for a couple of months. Remember, had ITD and noticed that quite a lot of the trainees were to themselves, and the ones that will speak the same language will stay in little units. And even then, it's still a communication barrier between them. And then I remember going into fundamentals, and quite a lot of them didn't think they could do it. They didn't think that they. So I was always in a I was always encouraging them to go through. I was always encouraging them to understand. What I used to tell them is understand your source. So understand what you've been able to achieve and know that you're the one that did it. Nobody else did it for you. So if you can do it today, you can do it tomorrow. And um, at the start of, and so at the end of fundamentals, I was getting so many different messages and so many different people reaching out to me to then say, I don't think I can do it. I'm going to drop off the course. This is too much for me. And then it said, if that what you've said there is two different things. Is it too much for you, or you don't think you can do it? Because if it's too much for you, then it's all about balance. So we can deal with balance and what that looks like. But if you don't think you can do it, do you understand that you've come this far? So that too has its different element to as to how we can break that down. But started and even when the software development course started, people came in the first day, and I intentionally scrapped what I was going to do, and I said I'm going to rather focus on imposter syndrome and talk about imposter syndrome from a PD point of view. Although that was a community coordination session, I merged it as a community. We are all in the same boat. Imposter syndrome means you care about something and you're scared to get it wrong. But it's we have to understand that things we care about everything is worth the risk, but how much of a risk are we willing to take, and how much of our mindset can we put forward for us to make something work? So after that session, quite a lot of the trainees did come up to me and then said, had it not been for this session, I was only emailing CYF to then say I was going to fall out, I'm going to step out, I'm going to not come back again, because it was just, I felt that I didn't belong. And quite a lot of the people that were saying this were females. They felt that they didn't belong, but that's also part of the stigma of the world. We need more females in tech, and that's the long and short of it. And sometimes females are seen to, they might think, or they might be seen. It's just different people and the different ways of it being seen. But we've come a time where working together and being diverse in our ways goes a very long way, and we need more females in tech. And even up until today, the same trainees still say the same thing. That I even have the picture that they've given me as my volunteer reward. So being one of the
Oh,
top
amazing! They
volunteers,
created that for you.
they created this for me as being their top volunteer,
Yeah,
as taking them through their journey. Because
I
quite a lot
saw
of
that on
them,
LinkedIn. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
because so quite a lot of them thought, oh, look at me with the mic, I never would have done that. Who would have thought? And quite a lot of them have then said that, it's not just about coming in and getting the work done. It's about doing it right and understanding that I too, yeah, I do belong. And if anybody's to say otherwise, I've got a leg to stand on. So the catchphrase I've given them is believe in your source and keep going. If it's tough, it means there's something out there that needs to get cracked.
Yeah,
So
amazing.
yeah,
So those those people that didn't quit in the end, did they go on to completing the full course, and beyond that, did they get a job?
yeah. So some of them are still looking for a job, but some of them, a few of them, have gotten a job at the minute. And although, especially with what they're going through and what they've been able to get under their belt, I encourage them to keep going. I encourage them to, yes, the course is almost coming to an end or pretty much finishing in terms of your delivery part, but you need to keep working on your tech stack. You need to show that
Mm,
company what you're worth. And you're really, this is all of what you've been working towards. This
yeah,
is where your source comes to play. So having built confidence in them, a lot of them are able to then go to networking events and sell themselves, which goes a really long way. Um, it, 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 it it's I'm extremely proud of how far they've come. Yes, some of them didn't make it to the end of the course, but this year round we've had one of the lowest dropout rates. So it's all about understanding the power that's in their hands, and that was the aim of what I tried to instill into them. Yeah.
certainly. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You've made such a huge difference, and this is what this is what can happen when people get involved and volunteer to get out there. They may not
Mm,
think they're making a tangible difference, but that that small intervention you've piled in loads of hours, but that if we take this example that you've just shared, that 1 hour, 2 hour intervention has made a huge impact on some people that were on the course. They finished the course, the trajectory that they go on over the next 5 to 10 more years. Um, some of that can be rooted back to what you did.
mm,
So um, thank you so much, Andy, for joining
thank
me
you.
on this podcast. It's been a really fascinating chat, and I've learned a lot. I'm gonna have to listen back to the recording to specifically listen back to those models that you were talking about, and it's really
Thank you.
inspiring. I'm in that boat at the moment where I can't do public speaking as well. So it's one of my main fears is doing that and getting up and in front and organizing things like you have. I'm
Yeah.
still on that
Thank you.
journey. So I think there's takeaways certainly for me from this episode, and hopefully others, my listeners will do so as well. So thanks again. It's
Thank you.
fantastic that I got you on season 1 of my podcast. And
Thank you.
hopefully, of course, you're a great role model for others, and hopefully it does encourage people to get involved, give back to their community as well,
Mhm.
and have fun doing it. So
Yes.
thanks again.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks for having me.
And I'm sure
Thank you.
we'll catch up again.
Will do. Thank you.
Cheers.
Take care.